Mafia boss finds Waitress hiding to eat leftovers. He stood marveled at the depths of inhumanity. His heart broke as he saw her scrambling to eat leftovers from the dirty dishes, her hands trembling as she scraped remnants of someone else's meal into her mouth, like it was her last chance at survival. Before we continue with this absolutely heartbreaking story, drop a comment right now and tell me where you're watching from and what time it is in your city. This story is going to shake you to your core, so make sure you subscribe because you do not want to miss what happens next. Trust me, this one hits different. 6 months had passed since Vincent Russo changed Mia Chen's life forever, and the city had no idea that the most dangerous man in the underworld was responsible for one woman's miraculous transformation. Vincent stood in his penthouse office overlooking the skyline, reviewing reports from his various operations. Drug shipments moving smoothly through the port. Protection money collected without incident. Politicians staying bought. Enemies staying quiet. Business as usual for a man who controlled half the city from the shadows. But something had shifted inside him. That cold calculation that had kept him alive for 20 years felt different now. Less satisfying. More empty. He'd built an empire on fear and violence. And for what? More money he'd never spend? More power he didn't need? More enemies who wanted him dead. His phone buzzed with a text from Tony. Boss, monthly update on the Chen family. Everything's smooth. Apartment's perfect. Kids are thriving. Mia enrolled in nursing school like she wanted. Straight A's so far. She's a fighter. Vincent smiled, something he did more often these days. He'd been receiving these updates every month, tracking Mia's progress from a distance like a guardian angel operating through bank transfers and anonymous help. She didn't know he was still watching. Didn't know he'd quietly paid her nursing school tuition in full. Didn't know he'd arranged for David and Sophie to get scholarships to a private school with the best teachers in the city. Didn't know that the part-time job she'd found at a medical clinic was owned by one of Vincent's legitimate business associates who'd been instructed to treat her well or face consequences. Across town in a modest but safe apartment that felt like a palace compared to where they'd come from, Mia was helping Sophie with homework while David practiced reading aloud from his favorite book. The transformation in all three of them was stunning. Sophie now wore the glasses she desperately needed, her eyes bright and focused as she solved math problems. David had gained weight, his cheeks fuller, his energy boundless as he read with confidence. And Mia, she looked like a completely different person. The exhaustion had lifted from her face. The fear had left her eyes. She'd gained healthy weight. Her hair was shiny and well cut, and when she smiled it reached all the way to her soul. She was attending nursing school 4 days a week and working part-time at the clinic on weekends, finally able to pursue the dream she'd abandoned when her parents died. But Vincent's gift had given her more than financial stability. It had given her back her humanity, her dignity, her belief that good things could happen to good people. Every morning she woke up in that safe apartment with her siblings healthy and happy. She whispered a prayer of gratitude for the mysterious man who'd saved them. She tried to contact him multiple times using the business card he'd given her, wanting to update him on their lives, wanting to thank him properly. But the number always went to a voice message that simply said leave a message and someone will respond if necessary. She'd left dozens of messages over 6 months. Thank you messages. Update messages. Invitations to dinner so the kids could meet their guardian angel. None were ever returned. Vincent listened to every single one but never responded, telling himself it was better this way. Better to help from the shadows and disappear. Better not to get attached. Better not to blur the lines between his dark world and her bright future. But then everything changed on a cold November evening when Mia was walking home from her clinic shift. She'd stayed late helping with an emergency patient, and the sun had set hours ago. The bus stop was 2 blocks from her apartment, normally a safe walk. But tonight 3 men were waiting in the shadows. They'd been watching her for weeks, recognizing her from the viral video that had made her briefly famous 6 months ago. They knew about the mysterious benefactor who'd helped her. They knew about the money, and they wanted it. Mia sensed danger before she saw them. That survival instinct that had kept her alive during her darkest days suddenly screaming warnings. She walked faster, her keys gripped between her fingers like a weapon, her heart pounding. But they were faster. The 3 men surrounded her before she reached her building, blocking her path, their intentions clear in their predatory smiles. Well, the largest one said, his breath reeking of alcohol and cigarettes. "You're that waitress from the video. The one who got rich from some sugar daddy. We think you owe us a cut." Mia's training from her self-defense class kicked in. She'd used some of Vincent's money to learn how to protect herself, determined never to be helpless again. "Get away from me," she said firmly, her voice steady despite her terror. "Now, or what? You gonna call your rich boyfriend?" The men laughed, moving closer. Mia reached into her purse for her phone, but one of them grabbed her wrist, squeezing hard enough to make her gasp. "Give us the phone. Give us your wallet. Give us everything, or this gets ugly." Mia's free hand found the business card she'd carried every single day for 6 months. The card with Vincent's number. The number he'd told her to call if anyone threatened her or her family. She'd never called it for help, only left those thankful messages. But now, trapped and terrified, she finally understood why he'd given it to her. She managed to pull her phone out with her free hand and hit the number from memory, her fingers shaking as the men closed in tighter. The call connected immediately. No voicemail this time. Vincent's voice came through, alert and dangerous. "Mia? What's wrong?" "3 men," she gasped as one of them tried to grab the phone. "Near my apartment. They want money." There, the phone was ripped from her hand and thrown to the ground, shattering on the concrete. But it didn't matter. Vincent had heard enough. He was already moving, already calling his people, already transforming from businessman into something far more terrifying. "Marco," he barked into another phone while sprinting toward his car. "Mia's apartment. Now. 3 hostels. I want them breathing, but barely. I'm 2 minutes out. Move." The men surrounding Mia had no idea they'd just made the last mistake of their lives. They had no idea that the woman they were threatening was under the protection of Vincent Russo. They had no idea that in approximately 90 seconds, 4 cars full of the most dangerous enforcers in the city would converge on this location. They had no idea that Vincent himself was driving at illegal speeds through red lights and traffic, his hands gripping the steering wheel so hard his knuckles were white, his mind flooded with rage and fear at the thought of Mia being hurt. All they knew was that they'd cornered an easy target. A woman alone. Defenseless. Afraid. They were wrong on every count. Mia wasn't defenseless anymore. She'd been training. And she definitely wasn't alone. She never had been. One of the men grabbed Mia's purse, and she reacted on pure instinct, bringing her knee up hard into his groin exactly like her instructor had taught her. He went down screaming. The other 2 lunged at her, but Mia was already moving, running toward the street, toward lights, toward people. She made it 10 feet before they caught her, dragging her backward into the alley. But then the night exploded with the sound of screeching tires and car doors slamming. Marco and 3 other enforcers materialized from the darkness like avenging demons, moving with military precision. Within 5 seconds, all 3 attackers were on the ground, subdued, disarmed, and absolutely terrified as they realized they'd crossed someone very dangerous. And then Vincent arrived. His Mercedes skidded to a stop, and he was out of the car before it fully stopped, running toward Mia, who was leaning against the wall, shaking but unharmed. "Are you hurt?" Vincent demanded, his hands on her shoulders, his eyes scanning her for injuries. "Did they touch you? Are you okay?" "I'm okay," Mia whispered, her adrenaline crashing now that safety had arrived. "You came. You actually came. I told you to call if anyone threatened you," Vincent said, his voice rough with emotion he couldn't quite hide. "I meant it. Always." Mia looked up at this man who'd saved her twice now, this dangerous mystery who treated her like she mattered, and something shifted in her chest. Something that had been growing quietly for 6 months suddenly became impossible to ignore. Behind them, Marco was efficiently zip-tying the 3 attackers while making phone calls that would ensure they disappeared into the criminal justice system for a very long time. But Mia and Vincent were locked in their own moment, standing in that alley, both realizing that whatever connection they'd formed 6 months ago had just become something much deeper, much more complicated, and absolutely undeniable. Vincent guided Mia to his Mercedes, his hand protectively on her back, while Marco handled the 3 attackers with brutal efficiency. "Get them out of here," Vincent ordered without looking back. "Make sure they understand what happens when you touch someone under my protection. And Marco, find out who sent them." This wasn't random. Marco nodded, already on his phone coordinating cleanup. The 3 men were being loaded into unmarked vans, their faces bloodied, their eyes wide with the realization that they'd attacked the wrong person. They'd be questioned thoroughly in one of Vincent's warehouses, and by morning, everyone in the criminal underworld would know that Mia Chun was untouchable. Vincent opened the passenger door for Mia, and she slid in, still trembling from adrenaline. He got behind the wheel and started driving, not toward her apartment, but toward his penthouse. She didn't question it, didn't protest. She just sat there processing what had just happened and what it meant. "You've been getting my messages," Mia said quietly after several minutes of silence. "All of them." Vincent kept his eyes on the road. "Every single one." "Then why didn't you respond?" "Because I thought distance was better. I thought giving you money and disappearing was the right thing. Keep my world separate from yours." Mia turned to look at him, really look at him. The sharp jaw, the dark eyes that had seen too much, the hands gripping the steering wheel, hands that had just rushed to save her without hesitation. "Your world saved me twice now. Maybe they're not as separate as you think." Vincent pulled into his private garage beneath his building and killed the engine. "We need to talk about what just happened. Those men knew who you were. Knew about me. That means someone's been watching you. Researching. Planning. This wasn't a random mugging." Mia's eyes widened with fear. "You think they'll come back?" "Not them specifically. They're done. But whoever sent them might try again. Which means you and the kids need better protection. I already have security on your building, but clearly it's not enough." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you stay here tonight, where I know you're safe. Tomorrow we upgrade everything. Better security system. Personal protection when you're out. Different routes to school and work. Everything." Mia shook her head. "I can't live in fear. I can't put my siblings through that. They just started feeling safe." "You won't live in fear," Vincent said firmly. "You'll live smart. There's a difference. Come on. Let's get you inside." They took the private elevator to the penthouse, and when the doors opened, Mia stepped into a world she'd only seen in movies. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city. Furniture that cost more than cars. Art that belonged in museums. This was Vincent's real life, the wealth and power he'd built through decades of calculated violence and strategic control. "Make yourself comfortable," Vincent said, already on his phone making calls. "I need to coordinate security updates. Are David and Sophie safe?" "They're fine. I've had eyes on them since you called. 2 of my best people are outside your building right now watching the apartment. Nobody gets near them." Mia sank into a leather couch that probably cost more than her entire nursing school tuition. The reality of her situation was finally hitting her. She wasn't just some waitress that a rich man had helped. She was connected to someone dangerous, someone powerful, someone whose enemies might use her to get to him. Vincent finished his calls and poured himself a whiskey, then looked at Mia. "You want something to drink? Water is fine." He brought her a bottle of expensive mineral water and sat across from her, studying her face. "You handled yourself well tonight. The self-defense training paid off. You knew about that too?" "I know everything, Mia. I've been watching over you for 6 months. Making sure you're safe, that the kids are thriving, that nobody bothers you. Tonight was the first time someone slipped through. It won't happen again." Mia set down her water, her emotions finally overwhelming her carefully maintained composure. "Why? Why do you care so much? Why do you keep protecting us? You don't owe us anything. You already changed our lives. Why keep watching?" Vincent was quiet for a long moment, staring into his whiskey like it held answers. "Because when I saw you eating trash to feed your siblings, I saw something I thought had been destroyed in this world. Genuine selflessness. Real sacrifice. Unconditional love. I've spent 20 years surrounded by liars, thieves, murderers, and users. Everyone wants something. Everyone's playing an angle. But you were just trying to keep your family alive. No agenda. No manipulation. Just pure survival and love." Mia's eyes filled with tears. "I'm not special. I just did what anyone would do." "No," Vincent said intensely. "You did what almost nobody would do. Most people would have given up. Put the kids in foster care. Save themselves. But you chose the hard path. You chose suffering so they wouldn't have to. That's rare. That's worth protecting." They sat in silence for a moment, the city glittering below them. 2 people from completely different worlds connected by circumstance and something deeper neither wanted to name yet. Mia wiped her eyes and straightened her shoulders, that fighter spirit Vincent had recognized from the beginning showing itself again. "Okay, better security, different routes, personal protection. I'll do whatever keeps David and Sophie safe. But I'm not hiding. I'm not giving up my life, my school, my job. I worked too hard to get here. I wouldn't ask you to, Vincent replied. You keep living your life. You just do it smarter and safer. My people will be invisible unless you need them. You won't even know they're there. Mia nodded, then looked around the penthouse again. This is really your life? Penthouses and security teams and people who disappear problems? This is part of it, Vincent admitted. The part most people see. The power and the money. But there's a cost. Always looking over your shoulder. Never trusting anyone. Knowing that people smile to your face while planning your death. It's lonely at the top, Mia. Very lonely. Then why stay there? Why not walk away? Vincent laughed, but it was bitter. You don't walk away from what I've built. You either die in power or you die trying to escape it. There's no retirement plan for people like me. Mia stood up and walked to the windows, looking out at the city that held both her painful past and hopeful future. I don't believe that. I think you could walk away if you wanted to. I think you stay because it's what you know, not because it's what you want. Vincent joined her at the window, standing close enough that she could feel his presence like heat. And what do you think I want? I think you want what everyone wants, Mia said softly. Connection. Purpose. Something real in a world full of fake. You found it when you helped us. That's why you keep watching. That's why you came running tonight. Not because of obligation. Because you care. And caring scares you more than any enemy ever could. Vincent stared at her. This young woman who'd gone from eating garbage to reading him like an open book in 6 months. Nobody had ever seen through him this clearly. Nobody had ever dared. You're dangerous, he said quietly. More dangerous than any rival I've faced. Why? Because I see you? The real you under all the power and control? Mia turned to face him fully. You saved my life twice, Vincent. You gave me and my siblings a future. The least I can do is see you for who you really are. Not the ghost of the underworld. Not the criminal empire builder. Just the man who recognized suffering and chose to fix it when he could have walked away. They stood there in the penthouse, the city lights reflecting in the windows, two damaged people from opposite worlds finding something unexpected in each other. Vincent had spent 6 months telling himself that helping Mia was just correcting an injustice. Just using his resources for good. Just a one-time thing. But standing here now with her seeing straight through his defenses, he couldn't lie anymore. Not to her. Not to himself. Stay tonight, he said. Guest room. You'll be safe here, and I can have everything upgraded by morning. Then I'll take you home to the kids. Mia nodded. Thank you. For everything. For coming when I called. For keeping your promise. Vincent's expression softened in a way that would have shocked anyone who knew his reputation. I'll always come when you call, Mia. Always. That's not just a promise. That's a guarantee. He showed her to the guest room, a space larger than her entire apartment had been 6 months ago, with a private bathroom and clothes already laid out that somehow fit her perfectly. Of course he'd thought of everything. That's who Vincent was. Always prepared. Always planning. Always 10 steps ahead. But as Mia closed the door and Vincent walked back to his office, both of them knew something fundamental had shifted tonight. This wasn't just a benefactor helping someone in need anymore. Mia woke up the next morning in the most comfortable bed she'd ever slept in, sunlight streaming through floor to ceiling windows, momentarily forgetting where she was. Then the memories crashed back. The attack. Vincent rescuing her. This penthouse. She checked her phone and saw 17 missed calls from David and Sophie. Panic shot through her until she saw the texts explaining that Vincent's people had visited the apartment last night to let them know she was safe and would be home this morning. Even in crisis, he'd thought of everything. She found Vincent in the kitchen already dressed in another expensive suit, drinking espresso and reading reports on his tablet. He looked up when she entered, and something in his expression had changed from last night. Less guarded. More open. Good morning. Coffee. Mia nodded, still processing the surreal reality of having breakfast with a mafia boss in his penthouse. Please. Vincent poured her a cup from a machine that probably cost more than her monthly expenses. I had clothes sent up for you. In the guest room closet. Your size. And I've arranged for a driver to take you home after we eat. The security upgrades are already in progress at your building. Mia sat at the kitchen island, wrapping her hands around the warm cup. You work fast. I don't do anything slowly, Vincent replied. Especially when it comes to protecting people who matter. That phrase hung in the air between them. People who matter. Mia mattered to him. When had that happened? How had a chance encounter 6 months ago turned into whatever this was becoming? Before Mia could respond, Vincent's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, and his expression hardened. I need to take this. It's about last night. He stepped onto the balcony, and even through the glass, Mia could see the transformation. The man who'd been almost gentle with her disappeared, replaced by something cold and lethal. He was talking with sharp gestures, his voice carrying authority that made even his tone sound dangerous. This was the real Vincent Russo, the ghost who controlled the underworld. The man people feared with good reason. 5 minutes later he returned, his expression grim. The 3 men from last night were sent by someone. A rival trying to send me a message by hurting people connected to me. It's handled now, but Mia, this is what my world looks like. People use anyone close to me as weapons. That's why I stayed away for 6 months. That's why I shouldn't have gotten involved in the first place. Mia set down her coffee cup, her nursing instincts recognizing pain disguised as pragmatism. But you did get involved. You saved us. And last night you came running when I called. You can't unring that bell, Vincent. We're connected now whether you like it or not. So the question isn't whether you should have helped. The question is what happens next. Vincent leaned against the counter, looking exhausted despite his perfect appearance. What happens next is I keep you safe from a distance. Upgrade your security. Make sure everyone knows you're untouchable. But we can't. He gestured between them. Whatever this is becoming, it can't happen. I won't paint a target on your back bigger than the one that's already there. Mia stood up, walking around the island to face him directly. You're scared. The man who runs half this city is scared of caring about someone. That's what this really is. Vincent's jaw clenched. I'm not scared. I'm realistic. People I care about get hurt. That's the cost of what I've built. My first girlfriend was killed by a rival when I was 25. My best friend betrayed me and died for it. My sister moved to another country and changed her name just to escape my shadow. Everyone close to me pays a price. I won't do that to you. Mia reached out and took his hand, feeling him tense at the contact. You already are close to me. You have been for 6 months whether you were physically present or not. David talks about you like you're a superhero. Sophie drew a picture of you that she keeps by her bed. And me. She paused, feeling vulnerable but pushing through it. I think about you every single day. Wonder if you're safe. Wonder if you're happy. Wonder if you ever think about us the way we think about you. Vincent looked down at their joined hands like he was holding something fragile and dangerous. Every day, he admitted quietly. I think about you every day. Check the reports. Listen to your voicemails. I've heard Sophie laugh in the background. Heard David reading out loud. Heard you studying for exams and stressing about assignments. I know you take your coffee with too much sugar. I know you volunteer at a homeless shelter on Thursday evenings. I know you sing badly in the shower and that you cry during sad movies. I know everything because I can't stop watching. Can't stop caring. And it terrifies me more than any bullet or threat ever has. Mia squeezed his hand. Then stop fighting it. Stop pretending distance will protect me when we both know your enemies already made me a target. If I'm in danger anyway, at least let it be real. Let this be real. Vincent pulled his hand away, not in rejection, but in frustration. You don't understand what you're asking. My world is violence and blood and betrayal. You're a nursing student trying to build a good life for your siblings. You represent everything pure that I've spent 20 years destroying. If I let myself care about you the way I want to, if I let this become what it's trying to become, I'll corrupt it. I'll corrupt you. You'll see things you can't unsee. Know things that will haunt you. And eventually you'll look at me with fear instead of whatever this is in your eyes right now. And that, he paused, his voice cracking slightly, that will destroy me more than any enemy could. Mia felt tears building, but refused to let them fall. You don't get to decide what I can handle. You don't get to protect me from choices by making them for me. I've survived poverty, loss, starvation, and last night I survived an attack. I'm stronger than you think. I know exactly how strong you are, Vincent said. That's not the question. The question is whether I'm strong enough to deserve you. To be something other than what I've always been. To build instead of destroy. And I don't know if I am. Then figure it out, Mia said firmly. Because I'm not going anywhere. You gave me a life worth living, and I'm not going to waste it pretending you're not part of it. So you can push me away and watch from the shadows. Or you can be present and let me decide if your world is too dark for me. But you don't get to make that choice alone. Vincent stared at her. This woman who'd gone from eating trash to challenging him in his own penthouse, and felt something he thought was dead come back to life. Hope. Terrifying. Dangerous. Beautiful hope that maybe he could have something real, something good, something worth protecting that wasn't built on fear and violence. Before he could respond, his phone rang again. Marco's name flashed on the screen. He answered with visible frustration. What? Boss, we've got a situation. The rival who sent those men last night, he's escalating. Just hit 2 of our operations. He's declaring war. Vincent's expression went cold and lethal. How many casualties? 3 dead, 5 injured. And boss, he sent a message. Says he's coming for everyone you care about until you're buried. He specifically mentioned the waitress. Vincent's free hand clenched into a fist so tight his knuckles cracked. Lock down everything. Full mobilization. And Marco, I want that compound surrounded within the hour. Nobody in or out. We end this today. He hung up and looked at Mia, and she saw the man who'd built an empire through calculated brutality. I need to handle this. Now, the driver will take you home. Stay inside with the kids. My people are already positioned outside your building. Do not leave for any reason until I call you. How bad is this? Mia asked, seeing the darkness in his eyes. Bad enough that I need to remind this city why nobody touches what's mine. Vincent caught himself, realizing what he'd just said. What he'd just claimed. Mia caught it too. I'm yours now? She asked softly. In his world, yes. Anyone who knows anything knows you're under my protection. Which means you're a target until I eliminate the threat. Which I will. Today. Mia stepped closer, placing her hand on his chest, feeling his heart racing beneath the expensive suit. Be careful. Come back. Vincent covered her hand with his, allowing himself one moment of vulnerability before he had to become something else. I always come back. It's what I do. He stepped away, already transforming into the ghost of the underworld, already planning violence that would echo through the criminal world for years. But at the door, he paused and looked back. Mia, when this is over, we're going to have that conversation. The real one. About what this is and what it could be. And I'm going to let you decide. Not me. You. Then he was gone, and Mia was left standing in a penthouse overlooking a city about to witness a war started because someone made the mistake of threatening her. She should have been terrified. Should have been running. Should have been protecting herself and her siblings by cutting all ties. But instead, she found herself hoping Vincent would come back safe. Hoping they'd have that conversation. Hoping that maybe 2 people from impossible worlds could build something real from the ashes of their broken pasts. Downstairs, Vincent climbed into his Mercedes where Marco was waiting with weapons, tactical plans, and a team ready for war. You really going to end this today, boss? Marco asked. Vincent's expression was carved from stone and fury. He threatened her. Declared war on me through her. So yes, we end this today. We end him. And we make sure everyone in this city understands what happens when you touch me at Chun. By sunset, Marco, I want his entire operation burned to the ground. No survivors. No mercy. No second chances. Marco grinned darkly. The war lasted exactly 7 hours. Vincent Russo moved through the city like death incarnate. His organization executing a campaign so brutal and efficient that by evening the rival who'd threatened Mia was begging for mercy he would never receive. 3 safe houses burned, 2 warehouses raided, 15 soldiers captured or killed. And at the center of it all, Vincent personally delivered the final message in the rival's own compound, surrounded by the man's destroyed empire. You made 2 mistakes, Vincent said, standing over the bloodied rival boss who'd thought he could challenge the ghost. First, you thought I cared more about money and territory than I do about people. Second, you threatened her. The woman under my protection. That wasn't business. That was personal. And personal debts get paid in blood. The rival tried to speak, tried to negotiate, but Vincent's expression made it clear negotiations were over. By the time Vincent left that compound, everyone in the criminal underworld understood 3 things. Vincent Russo was untouchable. His organization was unbreakable. And anyone connected to Mia Chun had just become the most protected people in the city. Marco drove Vincent back toward the penthouse as the sun set over the city they controlled absolutely. You good, boss? You were different today. More focused. More brutal. Vincent stared out the window, his hands still shaking slightly with adrenaline and rage. Someone threatened her, Marco. Threatened to hurt her because of me. I can't, he paused. I won't let that happen. I'll burn this entire city down before I let anyone touch her. Marco was quiet for a moment, then spoke carefully. You love her, don't you? That's what this is. Vincent didn't answer immediately, but his silence was answer enough. 6 months ago, I watched her eat garbage to feed her siblings. Watched her sacrifice everything for people she loved. And something broke open inside me. Something I thought was dead. Every day since, I've watched her build a life. Watched her study and work and fight for her family. She's everything good I destroyed in myself years ago. Everything I thought was weakness. But she's stronger than anyone I've ever met. Including me. So yeah, Marco. I love her. Completely. Terrifyingly. And I have no idea what to do about it. Marco smiled. Boss, you just declared war on the entire underworld and won in 7 hours. But one nursing student has you completely twisted up. That's actually beautiful. Vincent shot him a look, but couldn't help the small smile. You tell anyone I said that, and you're fired. Your secret's safe, boss. Now go talk to her. Tell her what you just told me. See what happens. Vincent arrived at Mia's apartment building as evening turned to night. His security team was positioned discreetly around the perimeter, invisible but present. He took the stairs instead of the elevator, needing the time to think, to prepare for a conversation that terrified him more than the violence he'd just orchestrated. He knocked on Mia's door and heard footsteps running. The door flew open and David and Sophie stood there, eyes wide with recognition and excitement. Mr. Russo, Sophie squealed, throwing her arms around his waist before anyone could stop her. You came. David hung back slightly, more reserved, but equally happy. Mia said you kept us safe. Thank you. Vincent knelt down to their level. This man who'd just ended lives now gentle with children. You're welcome. And yes, you're safe now. Nobody's going to bother you or your sister again. I promise. Mia appeared behind them, her face showing relief and exhaustion and something deeper when she saw Vincent unharmed. Kids, go finish your homework. I need to talk to Mr. Russo. But Mia, we wanna, Sophie started. Now please. There was steel in Mia's voice that made both kids obey immediately. They disappeared into their bedroom, leaving Mia and Vincent alone in the small living room that felt impossibly different from his penthouse, but somehow more real. You're okay, Mia said, reaching out to touch his face, checking for injuries. I heard sirens all day. News reports about fires and violence. I knew it was you. I was so worried. I'm fine, Vincent assured her, catching her hand and holding it. It's over. The threat's eliminated. You and the kids are safe. Everyone knows you're untouchable now. Nobody will ever try that again. Mia's eyes searched his face. How many people died today because of me? Vincent's expression hardened. Not because of you. Because of him. Because he made a choice to threaten innocent people to get to me. What happened today was necessary. Inevitable. It would have happened eventually. You made me realize what was worth protecting and what wasn't. Mia pulled him to the couch and they sat, her hand still in his. Tell me what you're thinking. The real truth. Not the careful version you've been practicing on the way here. Vincent looked at this woman who saw through every defense he'd spent decades building. 6 months ago, I thought helping you was about correcting an injustice. About using my power for good for once. But that was a lie I told myself. Truth is, from the moment I saw you in that diner, something changed. You reminded me that humanity still existed. That people could be good even when the world was cruel. That sacrifice and love were real, not just weaknesses to exploit. And somewhere along the way, watching you from the shadows, listening to your voicemails, seeing you build this beautiful life, I fell in love with you. Completely. Painfully. In a way I didn't think was possible for someone like me. The words hung in the air between them, raw and honest and terrifying. Mia's breath caught, her eyes filling with tears. Vincent continued, his voice rough with emotion. But loving you means understanding what it costs. My world is darkness. Violence. Things you shouldn't have to see or know. Today I did things that would horrify you if you knew the details. I'll do them again tomorrow if necessary. That's who I am. And I don't know if someone like you can love someone like me without losing yourself in the process. Mia was quiet for a long moment, processing everything. Then she spoke, her voice steady and clear. 6 months ago I was eating garbage and starving myself to keep my siblings alive. I was broken and desperate and losing hope. You saw me at my absolute worst, and instead of looking away, you helped. You changed everything. Not just with money, but with dignity. With respect. With protection. In these past 6 months, I've heard your voice on that voicemail. Felt your presence watching over us. known that somewhere in this city, someone cared whether we lived or died. That wasn't just charity, Vincent. That was love. Maybe you didn't name it yet, but I felt it. And I fell in love with the ghost who protected us. The man who saw suffering and chose to fix it. The person under all that darkness who still recognized light when he saw it. Vincent stared at her, hardly daring to believe what he was hearing. You love me? Despite everything I am. Despite what I've done. Mia reached up and cupped his face with both hands, forcing him to meet her eyes. I love you because of everything you are. The darkness and the light. The violence and the gentleness. The empire builder and the man who kneels down to talk to children. You're not one thing, Vincent. You're complicated and contradictory and probably impossible. But you're also mine. If you'll let yourself be. Vincent pulled her close, holding her like she was the only real thing in a world of shadows. I don't deserve you. I'll probably fail you. Disappoint you. Show you things you can't unsee. Then we'll figure it out together, Mia whispered against his chest. That's what love is. Not perfect people in perfect circumstances, but broken people choosing each other anyway. They sat there in that small apartment, a mafia boss and a nursing student, two impossible people from impossible worlds finding something real in the ruins of their separate pasts. Outside, the city continued its chaotic existence, unaware that the most dangerous man in the underworld had just surrendered to something more powerful than any weapon or threat. Love. Actual, terrifying, transformative love. The kind that changed everything. 3 months later, Mia graduated from nursing school with honors. Vincent sat in the back of the auditorium wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap, trying to be inconspicuous, but failing because David and Sophie wouldn't stop pointing at him excitedly. When Mia walked across that stage and received her diploma, Vincent felt pride surge through him stronger than any business victory ever had. This was what winning actually looked like. Not territory or money or fear, but watching someone you loved achieve their dreams because you'd given them the chance. After the ceremony, they went to dinner at a restaurant Vincent had bought specifically so Mia would have somewhere safe to celebrate. David and Sophie ate until they couldn't move, laughing and happy and secure in ways they'd never been before. And Mia sat next to Vincent, their hands intertwined under the table, both of them understanding that they'd built something impossible but real. That night, after the kids were asleep and Mia and Vincent stood on the balcony of his penthouse looking out at their city, she asked him something she'd been wondering for months. Do you regret it? Helping me that night? Starting all of this? Vincent pulled her close, kissing the top of her head. I regret a lot of things in my life, Mia. The violence. The people I've hurt. The darkness I've created. But you? Helping you? Falling in love with you? That's the one thing I'll never regret. You saved me as much as I saved you. Maybe more. Mia turned in his arms, her eyes bright with tears and joy. Then let's keep saving each other. Every day? For as long as we can. Deal? Vincent agreed, sealing it with a kiss that tasted like hope and redemption and the impossible future they were building together. Below them, the city glittered with a million stories, but none quite like theirs. The mafia boss and the waitress. Darkness and light. Violence and healing. Two broken people who found each other in the most unexpected way and chose love over fear. Chose hope over resignation. Chose each other over everything else. Vincent Russo and Mia Chun proved that love can bloom in the darkest places and that redemption is possible even for those who've lived in shadows. Mia became a nurse who helped people others ignored, while Vincent used his power to protect the vulnerable instead of exploiting them. David and Sophie grew up safe and loved, never knowing hunger again. And two people from impossible worlds built something beautiful from the ruins of their separate pasts, proving that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is let yourself care. Love transforms everything, even ghosts who thought they were beyond saving. That's the end of part 2. Hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment telling me if you want part 3 showing their life together and what challenges they face. Share this story with everyone because this is the content that proves love conquers all. Don't miss what's coming next.